My friends, thank you for joining me here today. Your presence here tells me that you are as concerned with women's rights as I am. Now, I don't recall seeing many of you at the recent National Women's Rights Convention earlier this month. This was the 11th Women's Rights Convention, by the by. I never would have guessed that nearly 20 years ago in Seneca Falls, the convention Mrs. Mott and I hosted would be repeated, but I am so glad it has been. For our message, our voice, our work must be repeated until it is heard in every province and hamlet of our country. Women must have rights equal to that of men. Obtaining the elective franchise. Now, some would call that a simple phrase. It takes hardly any breath to give it life. Yet when I first uttered those words nearly 20 years ago, those who heard it reacted as though I had struck them. However, it was not such an outrageous notion to me. Perhaps others had not seen, as I had even at a young age, the detriment that is the lack of legal rights in this nation. My father's keen legal mind was at times unable to assist the women who sought his help, for there was no legal help for women. When I was a child, too young to be noticed lurking in the doorway of his study, my father, a lawyer and sometime judge, was called upon by Mrs. Flora Campbell. The now widowed Mrs. Campbell and her husband had purchased a farm with Mrs. Campbell's own inherited money, but when her husband had died, he had willed it to their eldest son. Now the son wasn't taking care of the farm, and he was insolent to his mother. Mrs. Campbell had come to ask Judge Cady what she could do. And my father replied there wasn't anything she could do. When Mrs. Campbell had married Mr. Campbell, she had ceased to be her own person and became, in the eyes of the law, merely an extension of her husband. All that she owned, all that she earned, even the children that she bore, became property of her husband, which he could do with as he chose. And he had chosen to will the farm to their good-for-nothing son. As soon as Mrs. Campbell left, I asked my father why that was so, and my father took down his law books and showed me the laws printed there in bold black letters. In my girlhood foolishness, I said the best thing to do was to cut the laws out of the books. And my father explained that wouldn't do any good. The laws must be changed by the representatives in Albany. And all the representatives who represented all of the people, the men, women, and children of this state, were men. No wonder men thought they were so special. No wonder men preferred boy children to girl children. When I was 11 years of age, my only surviving brother, Eleazar, died. He had recently graduated from Union College. I was sad, of course, that another brother had died and gone to live in heaven, but it was my father who broke my heart. I found my father in the parlor, quite alone, sitting beside Eleazar's coffin. I heard the wise and forthright Judge Cady weep for his son, and when I came into the room to comfort him, he turned to me and said, "I wish you were a boy." Those words entered my soul, and I vowed to accomplish everything and more that a son would have done. I learned how to ride and jump horses. I could outride any girl and almost any boy in town. I studied Greek with the preacher next door until I was finally allowed to attend the local academy. I received the highest marks in mathematics and languages at Johnston Academy, and I was the only girl in the class. And when I finished at Johnston Academy, I tied for the highest award in Greek and received a Greek Testament as my prize. I rushed home that afternoon so proud to show it to my father. And he simply repeated his desire from 5 years previous. I wish you were a boy. At first, I thought it was impossible for him to see that a girl could accomplish so much. But as I grew, and as I learned more about the world around me, I realized it is truly impossible for a girl to accomplish as much as a boy. But a new era is dawning upon the world, when old might to right must yield the battle blade to clerky pen, when millions now under the iron heel of the tyrant will assert their manhood, when women, yielding to the voice of the spirit within her, will demand recognition of her humanity, and when her soul, grown too large for the chains, will burst the bands around her and stand redeemed, regenerated, and disenthralled. Now is the time, now emphatically, when the women of this country will buckle on the armor that can best resist the weapons of the enemy, ridicule, and holy horror. Our struggle will be hard and long, but our triumph shall be complete and forever. We do not expect our path will be strewn with the flowers of popular favor, that our banner, which we have flung to the wind, will be fanned by the breath of popular applause. No, we know that over the nettles of prejudice and bigotry will be our way, that upon our banner will beat the dark storm cloud of oppression from those who have entrenched themselves behind the strong bulwark of might, of force, and who have fortified their position by every means, holy and unholy. But unmoved, we will bear it aloft. Undaunted, we will unfurl it to the gale. We know that the storm cannot rend from it a shred, that the rolling thunder will be sweet music to our ears, and the electric flash will but more clearly show to us the glorious words inscribed upon it: equality of rights.